This is the newest product in the Switchbot lineup. Still a retrofit option as the previous model, but with a little bit of a twist to it. It's packed with tons of useful features, and it works with all major smart home platforms, including Apple Home. And as a quick disclaimer, Switchbot did send this unit out free of charge to do some testing, but as always, you're gonna get my honest thoughts and opinions, and if you stick around to the end, I've got a special discount code for you. I think you guys are absolutely gonna love this lock. So without wasting any more time, let's jump in and see what this thing's all about. Packaging for this device has been updated to this nice black design, and it immediately gives off the vibes of something that's supposed to be premium. In the box, you get everything you need to set it up, including the lock itself made from this high-grade aluminum alloy, and it features a super smooth locking knob. Additionally, you'll receive one of these little magnetic sensors that'll relay the status of whether or not the door is opened or closed. For installation, you'll get a Phillips head screwdriver, this long piece of blue tape, 3 different size spindle knobs, the mounting plate, an Allen wrench, 4 mounting screws that come in 2 different sizes, 4 set screws to attach the lock to the backing plate, and then the user manual that'll help you get started. As mentioned previously, this is a retrofit model, so we're actually going to be keeping the front of our lock, which is a cool little twist and a little bit different than some of the other locks that are on the market. And in order to keep everything in place during installation, what we're going to want to do is put a single strip of this blue tape over the front of the lock and press it firmly against the door. Now most locks are going to have 2 screws like mine does here, and we can go ahead and remove those and pull the entire back off this lock. The spindle should still be exposed, and what we're going to do is slide that through the opening at the bottom of our backing plate. Then select the right size mounting screws that are compatible with your lock and use them to attach the backing plate. You'll notice that the holes that you're going to slide them through are adjustable in order to be, compatible with multiple different size locks. And I recommend getting both of them started and threaded before you tighten either of them down to avoid it pulling to one side or the other. Then one of these little knobs here, which is what I'm going to call them. I'm not sure if that's actually the correct name for them or not, but either way, one of them should fit on the end of your spindle. And this is a good time to go ahead and test the lock, making sure the latch engages when you turn the knob and that you're not feeling any type of friction or resistance. If everything feels right, then we're good to move on. We're going to go ahead and align the back of the lock over the top of the knob and then use the included Allen wrench to fasten the 2 set screws on each side of the lock to keep it in place and fixed to the door. Once again, we can go ahead and test it, and if it functions correctly, we can remove the blue tape from the front of the lock and install the included magnetic sensor to the dimensions shown on this screen. Be careful, take your time, and measure twice if need be to avoid ripping any paint off your door frame like I did. It'll then take you through a quick calibration process, and then if you plan to install the separately purchased keypad, which I do highly recommend, it can be attached easily with either the included double-sided tape or mounting bracket. In order to pair this lock with Apple Home, we're first going to have to pair it to the native Switchbot app so that we can then bind it to one of their Matter hubs. Once you have their app opened up, we can hit the Add Device button up in the right-hand corner of the screen, where then the app will scan for any nearby Bluetooth devices, and then we can select our Lock Pro. If you haven't done so up to this point, you can go ahead and remove the battery tab, and once the indicator light starts blinking, we can go ahead and tap Connect. Then name your device whatever you want and select which room you'd like to add it to. We can now see our lock displayed on the home page of our app, and if we click on it, we immediately get a few different options here. The first is to pair it with the keypad, and then a few other things like emergency unlock, which I'll touch on here shortly, and then our logs that'll tell us when and how the lock has been used. Getting this lock into Apple Home is a little bit trickier. First, go back to the home page of the Switchbot app, select your Matter-enabled Switchbot hub, and then navigate to the settings where you'll look for the Matter setup option. From here, you can see your Matter setup code, which will be useful if this is your first time pairing any Switchbot devices to Apple Home. Since I already have one of my Switchbot hubs paired, if I click on secondary devices, it'll show both the blind and curtain controller. The Lock Pro will be listed under available devices, and if you hit that little add button next to it, it should be moved up to the added section of the list. Now if we open up Apple Home, we can locate the lock and make sure it's still in the correct room and update the name again if we need to. And now it's ready to use. Like with most Switchbot products, in order to use them remotely or to use them and see them inside of Apple Home, you'll have to bind them to one of Switchbot's Matter hubs like I mentioned earlier. And with that being one of the main goals for me with this lock, that leaves me with two different options. First is to use the Switchbot Hub 2, which has been out roughly for a year or so now. And then secondly, you can also accomplish this by using the brand new Switchbot Hub Mini that's also now a Matter hub. And outside of it only taking a few minutes to install and set up, there's plenty of great features and selling points for this lock. For example, it fits on a wide variety of different locks, and with the included AA batteries, you get up to 270 days on a single charge, giving you a little extra peace of mind. And then by chance, if you do go too long without charging the batteries, it supports emergency unlocking by using its passive power supply. I've been told that later this month, they'll be launching a dual power pack that will increase battery life up to a year. And with this, you're able to take one side out at a time and charge it while never losing functionality to your lock. Of course, one of the biggest selling points for this lock is that you can continue to use the physical keys that you've always used with it. But if you've opted for the additional wireless keypad, you'll have up to 15 different ways to control your lock, including 4 different passcode options ranging from temporary to permanent, the biometric fingerprint reader that can store up to 100 different prints, one of these fancy Switchbot NFC cards that allows you to open the door by just tapping it, voice commands through Siri, and then of course remotely controlling the lock through Apple Home on any of your Apple devices, including your smartwatch. Another cool feature with this Pro design that the previous generation didn't have is its quick key option when locking the door from inside your house. A single press to the button on the lock knob will lock the door, and Switchbot is claiming that this will eliminate up to 7,300 doorknob turns per year. Anything to keep the wrist fresh for that jump shot. With this lock also being Matter enabled with one of their hubs, that means you'll be able to pair it with the ecosystem of your choice. And then one of the features that's really cool that I'm happy that they were able to incorporate is being able to easily swap out the batteries by removing this magnetic cap. Most other locks that I've either used or seen on the market basically have to be disassembled, at least to a degree, in order to change your batteries. And as much as I love this lock for the short amount of time that I've been able to use it, I'd have to describe it as almost perfect. There's one little feature that's missing. The elephant in the room that has to be addressed. It is in fact missing Homekit, which is a real bummer in the year 2024, and I'm not sure how hard this would be to add in the future, but since this lock resides on the inside of the door, I'd have to imagine it would have to be the keypad that gains Homekit support rather than the lock itself. But like I said, other than that, I'd have to say that this lock is almost perfect, and I'd recommend it to basically anyone that's looking for a quality lock at a fair price. And speaking of pricing, this lock is being offered at $120 if purchased by itself, or it can be purchased as part of one of 3 different kits. The first of which features the lock plus the Matter hub for $150, the second, the lock plus the keypad for $170, and then lastly, you can get the kit that features all 3 of these, the lock, the keypad, and the hub for $200. And if you use the link in the description and use this code at checkout, you'll receive 10% off your entire order on any and all Switchbot products. Or use this code to get $20 off, whichever one is greater. So what do you guys think? Let me know down in the comments, and as always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.